Hey there, this is John Ashburton, author of the successful series of ebooks on mastering your preparation on police entrance exams. I'd like to welcome you at this next stage of your journey, and that is to ready yourself for the challenges at the Police Academy. We've got a lot of awesome strategies, tips, and techniques coming up over the weeks ahead. The purpose of this quick introductory video is to make sure you're ready to go once we grant access to the first webinar. I'd like to conduct a quick activity here and ask you to write down your 3 main areas of concern about training at Police Academy and send them through in an email to info@policeprep.com.au. Because whilst we're going to discuss preparation for a variety of different areas of training, I want to make sure we hit your exact questions along the way, and this is just the start of that. More importantly though, you're taking a few moments to write down what worries you about the coming training is your first step in gaining confidence in those areas. You may recall we already talked briefly on fear and anxiety and how it affects your performance. And in that video, I mentioned how important it is that you face your fears head on and acknowledge that you must start using this fear to spur you to action. But you want to be careful of the type of action that gets triggered in you. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever talked yourself out of something? I know I have. You know that little voice in your head? You have a great opportunity in front of you, and this little voice starts up saying, "Wait a minute, John, you can't do that. You don't have the background or the training or the education to do that." This is your fear of failure voice, and whilst it is trying to keep you safe, it will do so at the cost of your dreams. That little voice is a dream killer. So it takes courage to act in the positive when this voice pipes up. And you're going to hear this voice over and over at the academy. You'll be in scenario training, for example, and you might think of a solution to the situation at hand, but when you're in the academy environment, it can be hard to voice your true opinion and take action. Again, that voice is trying to stop you from failing. And one of the best strategies to overcoming this fear of failure is to understand that you are going to fail at some point, and that that's okay. This is how you learn. Because you need to develop your judgment skills whilst at the academy. And this is the first lesson I really want to impart to you. The academy is your sandbox for developing your judgment skills. So it may help you to understand that good judgment often comes from experience, and experience is often the result of bad judgment. And I think if you look back on your own life, you'll find this is true. You've got some life lessons you've picked up along the way, and many of these are a result of bad judgment. But now you've had the experience, you have grown and developed from that. One caveat I'll place on those comments about taking action is that you always need to make sure your actions are safe. Learning in a safe environment is one thing, but it is another matter to act recklessly during genuinely dangerous training, such as driver training or weapons training. Of course, you'll still be learning through mistakes there, but always keep your safety and that of your team in the front of your mind. Now, I'm sure you've heard about the fight or flight response that all people, and animals for that matter, have to danger. But there is a deeper element to this theory. The first thing to note is that danger is another word for fear, because it is not really the actual danger that causes the fight or flight response. It is the perception of danger, and the perception of danger is fear. Plus, there is also a third option when facing danger, and that is to freeze. So I prefer to call it the fight, flight, or freeze response. And it is this third response to freeze that is actually quite common. In the context of preparation for the Police Academy, this does represent a real fear for most people. And this is completely rational. You've invested a lot of time if you are successful in being selected for Police Academy, and your future career and lifestyle is dependent on your success. So there is a lot at stake here, and that is something to cause worry or fear. And there are 3 options you have in the lead up to the academy. The first is to take flight. This is the people who decide that the challenge ahead is actually too big for them and they quit before even starting. The second and most common response is you can freeze, which is the person who does nothing. So they acknowledge there is some things they may be unprepared for, but they're not willing to do anything about it. And today I really want to commend you on taking the third action, which is to fight. This is the type of person who recognizes a threat and takes positive action to deal with it. And that's effectively what you've done by enrolling in this preparation series of webinars. So I really do respect you for that. I now invite you to take one more small action, and that is to go ahead, write down those 3 areas of concern, and email them through to info@policeprep.com.au.